He's a first-time buyer. I'm just making this up, and I'm going to show you, let's say he is buying in Toronto. He's been pre-approved already. He spoke to his bank and they said he's good for up to $1 million. So we're going to keep him around 900,000. Property taxes on a $900,000 property in Toronto is probably around $5,600. He's looking to get into, let's assume it's a townhouse or something. Excuse me. Utilities on that average 150 to 200 a month. If we weren't in such a competitive market, you would be able to do a home inspection. In this market, it's going to be really tough to get a 2-hour block to do that. So you can add this as a one-time cost if you want. Right now, I'm going to zero it out just because of the market we're in. $900,000, the minimum down payment Johnny needs in this case is 7.22%. Okay. Under 500,000, everybody knows minimum is 5%. Between 500 and $1 million, it's actually 10% for that portion, and that's what that yellow box is indicating to you. And if it's over $1 million, you have to have 20%. So I'm just going to put 725. I'm going to round it up. Interest rates, they're still so dirt cheap right now. I am using 2% just as an average, but I know you can get like 1.7 if you really push, and even lower than that with some banks. I've heard as low as 1.5 fixed. 25-year amortization, and price appreciation historically is 4%. I read a report earlier last week saying something like we're already up 15% year over year, which is nuts. So let's just use 4% to keep it conservative. And because Johnny's a first-time home buyer, I'm going to assume he's going to hold a property for 5 years. Okay, and that's usually the typical term that buyers are using for their mortgage anyways, and that's why I want to use 5 years. Okay. So all your inputs are on this page, and then you can go to your next one. Let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. Okay. So
Those minimum down payment percentages, are those mandatory? Like the banks ask for those minimum payments?
that's the minimum they have to put down, yes. Yeah. So if
All
it's
right.
under
All right.
half a million, they have to put 5%. And I'll show you here. I'll just change this for a second. So let's say they were putting down, they were looking at something that's 750,000. The minimum would be 667, right? If it was 499, you'll see it'll change. It's 5%. Okay. So, like I said, it's going to grab your name if you put it up in that first section on that input tab. Everything's going to flow through. I'm not showing the footer here on this one for space purposes, but I used to have something at the bottom saying prepared by Group EXP Realty. I'll make sure I add that back in. Clients' names here. Property details, I can put in, let's just see, 123 Main Street. That should flow through as well right here. So 123 Main Street. So if they're looking at a property that you're potentially offering on, or just to give an idea of, they have a reference point. Okay. So we think this townhouse is going to sell for 900,000. Good luck with that downtown. Minimum down payment 7.25%. That's 65,250. Okay. Because it's less than 20%, they are going to have CMHC or insurance premium. I should probably change this to insurance because it could be CMHC, it could be Genworth, it could be Canada Guarantee, one of the 3 major companies that do that. That is the premium that they would be added on to their mortgage because they have less than 20%. Okay, so their actual mortgage amount on this property would be 868,000. Okay. Now Johnny's buying in Toronto, so he's Ontario land transfer tax everybody has to pay. But because it's in Toronto, he's also going to have to pay the Toronto Municipal Land Transfer Tax, right? On this property, it's almost 14.5 for each one. It's a lot of money. That's in addition to his $65,000 down payment. Johnny is a first-time buyer and he gets a rebate of almost $8,500. That's the maximum you can get. Okay, so he's going to have a $65,000 down payment. His land transfer taxes after his rebate are going to be another $20,500. Lawyers can range anywhere from $1,000 up to $2,000 depending on where your lawyer's located and what they're going to charge you, obviously. So my lawyer charges around $1,100 with disbursements plus HST, which is around $1,300. Title insurance is based on the purchase price. It's just a simple formula that will be automatically calculated for you here as well. So now we've got $20,500 plus another almost $2,000 as part of your closing costs. We're not doing a home inspection in this case because the market's competitive. We won't be able to have that as a condition in our offer, so I've taken that out. The PST, Provincial Sales Tax, is payable upfront on this insurance premium. It's 8%, and that's another $26, almost $2,700. Okay, so if you add this, the lawyer fee, oops, and the PST on the premium, Johnny's going to need another $25,000 on top of his down payment of $65,000. So to get into a $900,000 house, Johnny needs just over $90,000. This is an estimate. You want to stress to your buyer, this is an estimate. It could be $1,000 to $2,000 more. Every time I've used this tool, I am usually within about $1,500. Very rarely it's been less. I think maybe one time it's been less, but this is a pretty good indicator. Okay.
Is this in a plus 5% deposit, right?
This is a 7.25% deposit. This is everything. Deposit plus these closing costs. He needs $90,000 to buy this house. Okay. Buying with the minimum down payment, this townhouse is going to cost Johnny around $3,600 a month on a mortgage payment. That's at that 175 on a 25-year amortization. Again, this is just an estimate. It's fairly close, like within a couple of bucks of what the bank will actually figure out what the payment is. Okay. Property taxes on the input, we had $5,600 on a monthly basis. That's for the year. On a monthly basis, that works out to $467 a month. Okay. It's a freehold. There's no condo fee. We can ignore that. Utilities, $150 a month. Okay. So for Johnny to carry this property every month, it's going to cost him just shy of $4,200 a month. So when I'm speaking to them during the buyer consult, as I'm going through this, we're going through all these fees, and my first question is, Johnny, do you have $90,000 to $92,000 to close on this property? If Johnny says yes, I say, great, let's go on to see if you can afford this on a monthly basis. If he says no, I'm short, I've only got $80,000, then we're either kicking the purchase down a month or two so he can save that extra $10,000, or we're going to say we can't afford anything at $900. We're going to have to adjust the purchase price for you, maybe around $800,000, because that's what he's got in the bank ready to go at this point. Okay. Once he's, yep, I'm good for $90,000. Then the next question is, great. Are you comfortable spending $4,200 a month to carry this property? Right. I always have a conversation with my clients. I don't want you to be house poor. I want you to enjoy. I want you to go out to dinner once in a while. I want you to go on a vacation once a year, that kind of thing. If getting into this property means you can't do those things, are you comfortable trading those things off? Right. I'm relating to them. I'm building rapport. That's the reason for it. It's not because I'm trying to talk them out of a deal. I want them to build their equity and enjoy their life at the same time. There's some people that are perfectly happy paying for a house and not doing anything else. they're going to say, no problem. I'm happy to cut out my vacations. I'm happy to not eat out. I'm happy to eat craft dinner, mac and cheese for the next 5 years, right? And that's their choice. Now,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
so I can show these because I'm kind of, you quickly said, so I can show this part to my client, right?
Yes, yeah.
But not the first one, right? You said something about the Excel sheet?
No, don't send them the Excel sheet. So what I do is, when I'm on the buyer consultation, I'll fill this out and we'll talk about all these things. Or if I've had a phone conversation with them and I already have an idea what their budget is, I'll fill in this information on the input tab, and then I will literally just print this and save it as a PDF
Yeah.
and send it in an email to them, and then we'll talk about it.
So this one I can send to them, right?
Yeah.
This one? Okay.
Yeah.
And also, for the Toronto land transfer tax, is that, if, is it depending on like the property you type in, that it'll come up like,
If it's a 416 area code, it's going to be charged. That's the easiest way to remember it.
so it's automatic, the way you did it is automatic?
It'll be on this input tab. So let's say he was buying in Mississauga. There is no Toronto land transfer tax. All you have to do here, where the Y is, just change it to an N, and then you'll see it goes away.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
And one more thing,
Yep.
about the first time home buyer, one of my client, he read and he said that he didn't claim the first time buyer rebate because it says if you fix up the house, then the government, whatever you fix after, then you have to pay them 50% profit or something.
Did he do the first time home buyer's incentive, or was it the home buyer rebate?
Oh, is there two of them?
There's two different programs. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The rebate is automatic as long as they have never owned a home, and that's worldwide. So
Okay.
if he
Yeah.
was from overseas and he owned a home in his home country, he wouldn't qualify for the rebate.
No, he got the land transfer tax back,
So that's the rebate. That's the first time
Okay.
home buyer. Yeah.
but he didn't do the other one. No.
In Toronto, it'd be hard to qualify for it because there's a cap on the purchase price. I believe it's, if anybody knows, please correct me. I believe it's 700,000 or 730,000, something like that. I can't remember what the exact number is.
Well, his was 600,000.
Yeah, so he probably didn't apply for it. You have to apply for it. What happens is if he puts down 5%, for example, like the minimum down payment,
He did 10.
the
Total.
government would give you the other 5.
Yeah.
But they also split the capital gain with you whenever you sell.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he was saying. Yeah, that's what he was telling me. So he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah. It's for people who don't have enough of a down payment to get into it.
Yeah.
They're willing to trade that off.
Yeah.
But it could get expensive, and I'll show you that on the
Yeah,
the
that's
last
what
part
he's telling
here.
me. It might be expensive, or so he didn't
So-
apply for that one.
For Johnny here, we calculated just under $3,600 monthly mortgage payment. In 5 years, that means he's going to pay down $141,000 on his mortgage, right? Because part of this is principal, part of it is interest, right? So he's gonna put in about $140,000 worth of equity in his place just for paying his mortgage every month, right? 4% growth rate. This townhouse that he's buying for $900,000, if it grows at 4% a year, it's going to be worth $195,000 more 5 years from now. So this same townhouse 5 years from now will be worth at least $1.1 million. Okay. So when I'm speaking to Johnny, he's okay with the down payment and closing costs. He's okay with carrying it. Then to close him, Johnny, how would you like to make $335,000 over the next 5 years? Are you ready to go out and buy something? This is what he would have in 5 years. He can sell this property now. He can cash this out plus his original down payment of $65,000. So he's going to have $400,000 to go out and buy another property. He could refinance this now in 5 years when his mortgage is due, pull out equity and buy an investment property. Maybe he meets Gurinder and he starts to do BRRRRs or something like that. Either way, it gives them options, but it shows them the power of real estate. You invested 65 plus all this, you turned 80,000 into 336 plus your 80, almost your 80, not your full 80, your 65 in 5 years. Your rate of return over 5 years is 33%. These are big numbers, they pop. These get people's attention. Right? You don't have to be a numbers expert. What this is really showing them is you are educating your client on all the fees associated with purchasing a property. Because even when they go to the bank is just saying, you're approved for 900,000. We assume this down payment, and they're going to say, this is what it's going to cost you on your mortgage. They don't tell you this is what land transfer tax is going to be. They don't tell you this is what the lawyer is going to cost you. And so what you're doing here is on one page, you're showing them all the fees that they're going to incur and what it's going to cost them every month. And then the big kicker is, this is what you're going to have in equity on a conservative basis. Over the last decade, guys, our growth rate has probably been double digits, like 10%. Okay. I do have a second tab. I rarely use this with clients right now, especially first-time buyers. It's the same thing, but it's comparing your minimum down payment versus the 20% and the two in between. The reason we're doing this is some clients say they're waiting to buy something because they don't want to pay the CMHC premium. And it means they're going to be saving for a year, 2, 3 years to try and get to that 20%. And it's not going to save them that much money as a total and on your monthly. And the reason I use this is, Johnny, you told me you're waiting to save 20%, but that means you need $193,000 to get into this same house that you can get into today for $78,000, whatever it is, right? What is that going to save you on a monthly basis? Well, your property taxes don't change. Your heat and hydro don't change. It's just your mortgage payment. So you need an extra $120,000 almost to save just over $600 a month. What if you just buy today? What's your break-even point on, let's see here, 192 minus 77. Oops. And you guys don't need to do this. I'm just showing you an example. It's $115,000 divided by 600 is roughly what they're. So I should do. It's 191 months before Johnny breaks even on trying to save this fee right here. Right. And if you do the math, this is about 3% of the purchase price. Well, he's going to make this up in the first year in Toronto because it's going to grow at 4 to 5% easy. So I always tell my buyers, don't worry about this. After 1 year, you've already made it up in your price appreciation on your property. Okay.
Is this chart? Is this one also included?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the file. Any questions, guys, on this one? Snell, you had a question.
Yeah. It was about the HST on the insurance premium.
Yes.
I always thought it was like 13%, but you're saying it's 8%. It's not really an HST; it's a PST.
It's
like
the provincial sales tax. Yeah, it's provincial sales
so
tax.
it's not really HST.
No.
Okay.
And it's paid up front.
Yeah.
It has to be paid up front. The rest of this premium can be added to your mortgage. Yeah.
The other thing as well is that if this person chose to wait and save that 20% down, that house price is also going to go up, right? Isn't that
Exactly.
correct?
Yeah, and that's in the next tool that I'll show you.
Hmm.
Yeah. This one just kind of, I always tell people, you find people who might have 10% down and they're like, oh, I'm going to put down 10%. And I tell them, why don't you just put down the minimum? Because you're going to keep that, $25,000 to $30,000 in your bank that's earning, if it's in the stock market, you're probably getting more than the 1.75% it's costing you to borrow that money, right? Because on a monthly basis, it's $140. Would you rather keep that $30,000 earning, let's say 8% a year? And I think you could afford $140 a month extra. Right? Now, people who have 20, hey, put down 20. But I bought my first 1, 2, 3, 4 properties with the minimum down payment. Until I bought this current house, I put down 20% because I knew I was going to be here for a while. Right? But I also sold 2 properties to do it. Okay. Any questions on this tool, guys? Usually, like I said, just go through this middle tab, the summary tab. Don't get into the comparison unless they're thinking about putting down more than the minimum and it's not quite 20%.
Sorry, G, just so I'm understanding, like we
Yep.
can go through this whole thing with them, but
Yes.
yeah, just when you're speaking of the summary one, is that the one with the breakdowns of the different down payments?
It's this one here, the one we're on right now, the summary. The comparison tab is the comparison.
This one, yes.
Yeah.
So don't go into that one unless
You
have.
could, but you typically don't need to with most buyers.
Okay.
Especially the majority of people are first time, or if they're upsizing, they'll probably have the 20%. There's no point in
Yeah.
Going through the differences here.
And do you use this with your current, like people that have sold and that are going to be buying?
I use it with everybody.
Okay.
Every single person, because even people who are selling today and buying, like they're upsizing.
Yeah.
If they haven't bought in a while, they don't know what it's going to cost in terms of land transfer and everything. This shows them everything. The other thing I use it for is when you're on offer date and you sent in your offer for 900,000 and the agent calls you back and says, hey, we're sending you guys back. Can you improve your offer a little bit? And your client's humming and hawing over $10,000. I can jump into this thing. I can change the price to 910. So everybody remembers it was 35.75 was the mortgage payment, right? So what's that extra 10,000 going to cost my client if he goes to 910? $36.15, $40 a month to go 10 grand. And I turn to Johnny and I say, can you afford $40 a month? And he's going to say, yep. I'm going to say, so let's go to 910 and try and win this bid. Right? Because they can see the numbers. Everybody fixates on the 10,000. It's not 10,000. He's going to put down 7.25% of that 10,000, which is $725 more, right? And it's going to cost him an extra $40 a month. If he's not a first-time buyer, so this is, guys, I've tried to make it easy for you guys. You don't have to worry about, do I have to include the rebate or not? You literally just have to change yes or no, Y or N. And it'll take out Toronto, it'll take out the rebate if they're not a first-time buyer. If they put down 20% because they have the money, that premium goes away. Right? This
I would
doesn't.
like to use this. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Um, kind of a personal question. If I would like to use this for my buyer, could I then share it back with you just so you can make sure I did it right? Because
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
don't want to miss like any.
Yeah, just remember. So this is easy. This is all your info, anyways, right? On your client info. The only questions you're asking your client are your first-time buyer, and if they're buying in the Toronto, where they're going to have the municipal land transfer tax, you just need to know yes or no.
Okay, and then it'll
Property
automatically.
information.
Yeah.
This is off the MLS.
Yeah.
So the property they're interested in, whatever you think it's going to sell for, put that in there, or the list price.
Mhm.
Property tax, it's right off the MLS, right? If it's a condo, you enter the condo fee. Utilities, again, if it's a house, if it's a really big house, you're going to obviously bump that up to $250 or $300 a month. If it's a smaller house or a condo, you're going to adjust it accordingly, right? If we were in an environment where I could do a home inspection, I can add that in. That's going to get added here, and it's going to be part of his total that he needs to close on that property, right? So everything will flow through this tab, and I tried to make it as easy as possible for you guys to do that. And then this, really you only have to pay attention to if you're putting down the minimum down payment and what that actually means.
Gee, sometimes there are development charges which are not mentioned in the contract upfront, and you get to know only when you close. So, is there any way we can club that in?
I had it. This one is more for resale because they're buying right now, right? If they're buying pre-construction development charges, they're not going to have those charges. If it's a condo, it's going to be 4 years. I don't know what the interest rate's going to be 4 years from now. I don't know what their property taxes might be 4 years from now. So I try not to use this for pre-construction. But all you would do is, if you know, hey, development charges are capped at $10,000, for example, you just add 10,000 to this total for them. If you want, I can add a line there, just to say development charges, new construction only or something. I can add that in. Yeah. But it's just, I don't want them to hold on to this for 4 years and interest rates are 4%, because I'll show you what happens to the mortgage payment when you change it to 4%. It jumped $1,000 a month almost.
Hey, Gurpreet.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about the land transfer tax. It's just like different in every single area, or just like the same all over?
Ontario is always the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the Toronto one is only in Toronto. So if it's
so let's say how about Niagara and Hamilton area? So they might
they don't have the Toronto. They don't have municipal, yeah.
So, but other than that, like a Ontario land for transfer, the transfer tax is going to be the same for every single property.
Every single well, it's not this. It's charged to every property. It's not the same amount to every property. Right.
Okay.
So it's based on the price. So on a $500,000 condo, land transfer is $6,500. Right. On a $2 million property, land transfer is $36,000.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, it's based on the price. It'll automatically be calculated for you. Okay. Got some people in the chat. What's here? Yeah, Shannon, the land transfer tax calculator, if you compare that to what I'm doing in the spreadsheet, I'm pretty confident, unless they change something, you'll get the exact same number. Yeah. And the only reason, guys, I put it on here, like, they can go to a mortgage calculator online, figure out what their mortgage payment's going to be. They can go to land transfer calculator like Shannon posted, figure out what it's going to be. But there's very few calculators online that show everything on one page that you can hand to your client. I can give this to any client and say, hey, this $2 million property, this is what it's going to cost you to close on it if you put down 20%. And this is what it's going to carry for every month.